Every bourbon has 5 sources of flavor. They all have water, they all have grain, they are all fermented, distilled, and matured. But at the Woodford Reserve Distillery, each of these flavor sources has been customized to produce craft bourbon. Water. Sounds simple. But at Woodford Reserve, we use deep limestone well water. The mineral-rich, iron-free water combines with our proprietary yeast strain to deliver our complex flavor and its distinctive, crisp, clean finish. Like the rest of our flavor sources, our grain recipe is unique to Woodford Reserve. To be considered bourbon, the grain recipe has to be comprised of at least 51% corn. Then we add malted barley and an unusually high amount of rye. It's this extra rye that gives Woodford Reserve the feisty spice character that separates it from other bourbons. After the grains are cooked with the limestone water to create mash, they are transferred to our Cypress fermenters, the smallest in the industry. Here, our proprietary yeast strain works its magic, converting the sugars in the mash into alcohol and giving Woodford Reserve flavor. Again, all bourbon is distilled, but only the Woodford Reserve Distillery uses spirit triple distilled and copper pot stills to make our bourbon. Our iconic copper pot stills come all the way from Scotland, and Woodford Reserve is the only bourbon to use them. The mash from the fermenters is pumped into the first still, known as the beer still. Here, steam heat forces the vaporized alcohol up the gooseneck. It passes through a condenser and becomes a 40-proof spirit called low wine. In the second round of distilling, the low wine is pumped into the next still and is again heated and vaporized. It again goes through condensation and comes out as a 110-proof spirit called high wine. The high wine then goes into the spirit still, where a final round of distillation results in a crystal clear 158-proof spirit referred to as new make. During maturation, bourbon gets its color and distinctive flavors. That color and flavor comes from the barrel. That's why Woodford Reserve has its own cooperage dedicated to crafting, toasting, and charring our white oak barrels to perfection. As the bourbon matures, it expands into the barrel during warmer temperatures and is drawn out during colder ones. Unlike many bourbon makers, our warehouses are temperature controlled, so we're able to enhance the amount of flavor picked up from the charred wood. The barrels are constantly sampled to make sure they live up to our master distiller's highest standards. And when they finally do, we'll happily call them Woodford Reserve Craft Bourbon.